Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and I want to make a video just about this topic because I thought it was so interesting. So, this weekend there was a show called the Expo Super Show, and one guy that I've been following, all the updates that he's been posting going into this show, was a bodybuilder by the name of Marcello De Angelis, aka morse.md on Instagram. And the crazy part about this is I've been seeing all these updates. I thought that he was going to be competing in classic physique because he's got clearly such an aesthetic physique. I mean, vacuum pose, crazy V-taper. He looks very reminiscent to a lot of the top guys. He looks like a Logan Franklin or a Chris Bumstead type of physique. But he actually earned his pro card in men's open bodybuilding at this show. And like I said, I was seeing these updates. I mean, look at some of these shots. The front double bicep here, this was actually taken before the show. Look at this front double bicep, how aesthetically pleasing this shot is. I am like mind blown that he is not a classic physique competitor. He's actually a pro men's open bodybuilder in the IFBB as of today. And you know what's even more interesting is that he's good friends, or at least I know he's trained with, Rafael Brandao, who right now is one of the more aesthetic guys in men's open bodybuilding, but I would say Marcello is even more aesthetic than he is. But I'm so impressed by the fact that he is now a men's open bodybuilder. I think it stands to reason that he is possibly the most aesthetic guy right now in men's open bodybuilding. Now, here's what I don't know. Now that he's a pro, he could technically compete in classic physique as a pro, or compete in bodybuilding as a pro. What I don't know is how hard it would be for him to make the weight class for classic physique because I don't know how tall he is. And like we see all the time with men's physique guys crossing over to classic physique and 212 guys crossing over to classic and vice versa, 212 guys coming over to men's open. Once you're a pro, you kind of have that flexibility. If you want to go to another division, you can, as long as you fit within that division's requirements. And I'm just, I'm so mind blown by the fact that he actually turned pro in bodybuilding, and I believe intends to compete as a bodybuilder, at least initially. I think he's got to be by far the most aesthetic men's open bodybuilder there is in the IFBB right now. And granted, we've got to see him actually compete against other men's open guys to see how much he actually stacks up from a size standpoint compared to these other guys. Maybe he looks big next to him and still holds on to that aesthetic quality. But I don't know what he plans on doing down the line, if he intends to try to get into classic physique, or if maybe he already knows he's too heavy and that's why he's doing men's open bodybuilding. But I already had a video ready to go, making these comparisons between him and Chris Bumstead and where he might be able to land in a classic physique lineup on the Olympia stage down the road. And like I said, put up these front double biceps next to each other, and we'll keep it fair here. We'll put up a goon-light front double bicep of Marcello and a goon-light front double bicep of Chris Bumstead, and you can see pretty clearly what an impressive pose that is for Marcello. Some might say that Chris Bumstead's bicep peaks are a little bit of a kryptonite for him because he's pretty complete in almost every other department except for just that shape of the peak of his biceps is really not the most flattering shape. And as you can see with Marcello, he's got crazy peaks on his biceps. It's really one of the defining features of his physique, especially in that pose. And when you put them side by side, you can really see, what a standout detail that is for him, even compared to your current classic physique, Mr. Olympia. But again, what I don't know is his height with his weight. Maybe he's far too heavy to ever compete in classic physique, but that's going to be the interesting thing down the road, is now that he has this pro card, what is it that he's going to decide to do with it? I was kind of speechless when I realized, wait, he wasn't competing in classic physique. He wasn't turning pro as an amateur classic physique competitor. He was turning pro in open bodybuilding, which I think is pretty crazy. Because like I said earlier, I've been following along with his progress in a lot of these prep photos. And like every photo, it's like a vacuum pose, really aesthetic, really attention to detail on the posing routines. And I thought for sure he was going for a classic physique pro card here. And the fact that he was going for men's open bodybuilding and got it, I just think is awesome. But I guess this is where I pose the question to you guys, is which direction would you like to see him go? Would you like to see him pursue professional men's open bodybuilding and try to compete against the big boys and bring kind of this aesthetic element to the open bodybuilding stage? Or would you want to see him try to meet the weight limit for whatever his height is and compete in classic physique? Or maybe you guys know that he's just too heavy and that's really not possible for him. But man, I just could not believe that when I heard that. I was like, man, there's no way. Could you imagine seeing his physique on the Arnold Classic men's open bodybuilding stage, on the Olympia men's open bodybuilding stage? It's just so, not what we're used to seeing. And I'm so curious to see if he does choose to pursue men's open bodybuilding, if with him being as aesthetic as he is, if he could still hang from a size standpoint like we've seen Raphael was able to do with these other men's open guys that might be much heavier, might be much bigger, more muscular guys, but could he still hang next to them and look good? Or could he get out muscled like we've seen with some more aesthetic guys like Patrick Moore in the past, like we've seen happen to Regan Grimes in the past? It's not a very easy thing from what we've seen so far for aesthetic guys to really succeed in men's open bodybuilding unless A, they've got a pretty good amount of muscle mass, or B, if they are a smaller guy, they've got to come in consistently peeled to the bone, but play that balancing act of not coming in too flat while chasing that crazy conditioning. But man, I'm excited to see what the future holds for Marcello. And I'm even more excited to see if he steps on a men's open bodybuilding stage, just how he stacks up. It's going to be it's really going to be a fascinating journey. And I stand corrected. I mean, I swear I thought he was a classic physique amateur competitor turning pro in classic physique. That's just how aesthetic he looked. I thought there's no chance he's going for men's open bodybuilding. And I'm amazed, really. I'm really, really impressed. And I'm kind of even more so impressed that this physique was rewarded by the judges, judging by bodybuilding criteria. So, I mean, he clearly had size enough and bodybuilding proportions enough to earn a bodybuilding pro card. It's not like it's something they give away like candy, but yeah, man, I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this. I would really like to see him pursue classic physique, but almost, I want to see him just as much pursue men's open bodybuilding. And if he was able to get even bigger than he is now, but still maintain those classic proportions, the small waist, still hit the vacuum pose, still have these crazy dominant arms, it'll be a really interesting thing to see if he were to pursue men's open bodybuilding like Rafael Brandao, be successful, win shows, qualify for men's open. And here's another thing that we haven't seen in a long time. I think Regan Grimes was the first and only bodybuilder to do this. Regan has qualified for the Olympia in both classic physique and men's open bodybuilding. Could we see a scenario like that with with Marcello here? Could he try to chase both, which I think would be extremely interesting. And we're seeing it more and more now, these crossovers. Sean Clarita winning Legion in men's open. Now Sean has the choice between men's open bodybuilding and classic physique at the Olympia. What I think would be really cool to see would be the first bodybuilder to qualify for both in the same year, the classic physique Olympia and the men's open bodybuilding Olympia. I think that would be one of the coolest things ever, and this could be the guy to do it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Shout out to morse.md, aka Marcello De Angelis, on the pro card. Well deserved, very impressive that it was in open bodybuilding. But that's gonna wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you give it a like, give it a thumbs up, get it into that algorithm. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. It really, really helps out a lot. Subscribe if you have not subscribed already for all the latest and greatest bodybuilding news. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.